Okay, ladies, we are live. Welcome everybody to Women Empowered MN. Me and my sisters are here today to start off Women's History Month with some great self-care tips and just kind of talk about how we navigate through our day-to-day life and keep up with everything with our relationships, with our jobs, with our families, on top of taking care of our own self and healing. So I'll let one of the ladies take it away first.
I guess I'll start. So yeah, self care. I think that's something we all got to focus on, especially when we got kids and boyfriends and husbands and just everybody. An anchor to a lot of people. So for me, I try to prioritize. I always, if I have something to do, um, I try not to overload my plate. So like, if I know that I have something that I have to do this week, I'll put it on my calendar, but at the same time, I'll make sure that I get it done and I still do something for self, whether it's going to the gym, whether it's going to get my nails done, whether it's going to get my pedicure, whatever it is, I always implement something for self. Like, for example, I'm got to do my continuing education for my real estate. I'm trying to take it like one class at a time. I'm like, okay, Janet, you're gonna finish this class this week. What are you gonna reward yourself with? So that's kind of how I look at it, like a little reward. Because God, we need that. We really do.
Well, I guess I'll go next. My life it starts at 4 a.m. most days.
Mm.
Um, Yesterday was crazy because my phone was dead and I literally died because I couldn't go to the gym because it like when my phone, I thought I charged it and didn't charge it and it was completely dead. So it completely threw my whole life off and I was so mad yesterday morning. But typically 4 or 5 a.m. I'm up making sure I'm taking care of myself. I spent too many years being in my realm of being overweight, unhealthy, unhappy with myself physically. And so I make it a point to get up in the morning and go. That's my self care. That's my me time. That's my time to zone out to my music, whatever music I choose. And I typically choose my music the night before. So I already know what I'm going in there to do, what I'm going in there. I plan out my workouts. I get myself geared up to go do that in the morning. On top of doing that, I go to the grocery store every morning because I like for my family to have fresh garlic and fresh ginger and stuff like that because I make teas for me and my husband in the morning as well as smoothies and then make sure my daughter has her breakfast and stuff and food that she needs to. um, so I do go to the grocery store right after I go to the gym. Then I come home, and my daughter is not completely self mobile, so I'm helping her get ready for her day, and I'm helping my husband get ready for his day because he's already gone. He leaves at 3 a.m., but I still am. I'm preparing him. I'll lay his towel out and his stuff because he goes to the gym after he finishes his first round of work. Lay his towel out, his underwear, his socks, everything ready to go on the counter for him in the bathroom. So he can come and shower and all that's ready. His tea is ready for him to go. Shake, smoothie already made up. All he got to do is take it out the refrigerator, freezer, whatever, wherever it's at. It's ready for him. Um, I go to work. I have more flexibility in how I move around in my current position. So I'm happy about that. But, um, I try to balance what's important with self care because that's my self care. I make sure I meditate. Janet makes sure she stay on top of me with with not religion, with the spiritual piece that I need in the morning because I kind of had gotten away from that. So I appreciate you for that.
I got you.
Um, I stay connected with, positive people during the day, messaging. positive ladies, positive people I love during the middle of my day, to keep myself focused and, just above anything negative, anything petty. I don't have the time or mental space for anything like that. I lived in that too long. I don't have that in me anymore. So, balancing my marriage, me and my husband have a lot of talks. We have a lot of conversations. I think conversations is important. We just had one tonight. One thing that I did express to him is that you and I, we spend too much time on our phones. So we need to communicate with each other more after we get done with our days and spend some time with each other. Like, I noticed that we both run businesses and we're both constantly like this. And sometimes that's just it's just too much, so we need to remember to incorporate those conversations. Like, before I jumped on with you guys, I had a 15-minute conversation with him just about the day, what the day was like, and that's something we need to make sure that we do on a consistent basis. Same thing with my daughter, who don't be wanting nothing to do with me. That's important that I wrote those pieces in too. So it is a balance. We all are out here trying to balance life, but I think it's important that you recognize the areas that need your attention and that you actually communicate to the people around you, even if it's your job, and you feel like, I'm stressed out or I'm having a rough day. Like, you need to communicate to your staff or to people that you deal with on a daily basis that, I might need a minute. You just need to be able to communicate in balance. So that's all I got for right now.
And those boundaries, right? Right, Ebony, those boundaries. I felt like you were
Don't
going
start.
into that.
Don't
For
start,
real, girl.
because
I felt like you were going into that.
them. Yeah, that too.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
That's a
that
real.
too.
different
I felt
podcast.
that.
Right, that's a different podcast. But I'm
felt
gonna
that
say,
though.
I ain't running around here people pleasing these days, and I'm gonna tell you, it's
Amen.
working 110% for me. Trust and
Right,
believe that. So,
right.
but yeah, we'll leave that for next week or something.
All right.
Well, I can go next. Finding balance. Well, I'm a pretty busy person. I got a toddler. I am going to school for psychology. I work full time. I have a new house and teenagers, and now this business. So I would say finding the balance of even just me time within all of that is just allocating my time, prioritizing things that I need to do throughout the day, giving myself at least 3 things to accomplish per day, because you can overwhelm yourself, right? If you say, I got to do this, eventually you'll drive yourself crazy. If you at least narrow things down to at least 3 priorities and say, okay, I got to work, I need to make sure this is done, and then I need to make sure I do my homework for the day. Anything extra, if you have the time, it can get done. If it can't, maybe you need to do it on the weekend. But just also learning to say no. Sometimes you ain't got it in you. Maybe today was a little bit harder, so you say, no, I can't do that today. I don't have it in me. Let me push it off to the next day. If it's something that you can do that, finding that balance of maybe not pushing things off to the last minute and giving yourself time to do things, so you aren't so rushed at the last moment all the time. Because I will be guilty of saying I'm rushing a lot at the end of the day. So 2023 was me finding the accountability in myself and giving myself enough time to be ready and preparing. If I know I'm going to 3 concerts this year, I need to make sure I have those 3 outfits already ordered, already hair and everything is ready. So when that comes about, I don't have to rush at the last minute and spend, $100 on something I could have got for $30, $40,
Right.
So it's just about you having an overall picture of your life. How do you balance your life? Because if you focus on each day and say, oh, this is all the things I have to do in this one day, you will drive yourself crazy, honestly. So giving yourself grace, giving yourself time. And, some people, I'm not big on calendars and date books and things like that. Some people are, or set yourself notifications in your phone when something has to be done. Set an alarm for yourself. If you're looking at your phone, maybe you need to allocate that, screen time. Like Ebony was saying, only an hour of screen time per day. Set that alarm when that hour is up, and then you need to go and do something else. Some people need those types of, guidelines on being able to actually do things. I might look at the time and say, okay, I have to do laundry. I got to spend time with my baby. I need to make sure I have this time to, have with him, to watch TV, and just giving myself those times versus trying to do it all at one time. You'll go crazy. And that's one thing we don't want to do as moms and wives and girlfriends and women is we don't want to add nothing more to our plate than we already have, because the world is already hard as it is. So making it easier on yourself and finding that alone time, in the midst of all the craziness, even if it's just an hour, like Ebony said, meditating. I'm not big on meditating, but that's something I wanted to, try to figure out. How am I going to add that to my daily routine? Maybe I need to wake up a little bit earlier and meditate, or maybe I need to do it before bed. So that's something I would say finding balance is an ever changing thing. Don't think I found balance today, I'm going to be good tomorrow. No, you always got to work at that, because life changes, people change, things change. So give yourself that grace to say, okay, I got it. I figured this out this week. Let me see if maybe I need to adjust it a little bit. Maybe something didn't work so well last week.
I think I'll chime in off of that just because lately I think I have been struggling with balance. I have not always struggled with balance. I think that I had both feet planted on the ground at one point in time, and I don't know where and how, but my world got shook up and I found myself racing and running for everyone else, and I wasn't finding any time for myself. So, yes, 2023, it is time for add Davina on the calendar and put myself in there and find more time for myself. I have a mental health career. I also, on the side, assist my sister in her business. And then I have my 4 children. I have 3 grandbabies, an abundance of cousins. And it seems like every time I turn around, somebody needs me for something. And I am turned into somehow this yes girl. I've not always been this yes girl, but lately I have been. And I had to take a step back and I had to say, okay, what is going on? Because now I am starting to feel like I have no time for myself and things are just not working out in my favor. And so to actually sit down and to go through what it is that I do every day and try to decipher which one of those can I get rid of so that I can actually find time for myself was, I think, the most important part of that. One of my big things is because I work in mental health, I am constantly having my phone in my hand. So for the last month, I have decided that I was going to go ahead and I was going to ditch the phone. I have to put that aside because then that takes over everything else. And even when I'm trying to find time for myself, it's not really time for myself because my phone is constantly dinging. So now I have to tuck it away when I'm saying that this is my time. It cannot be present because I cannot have anybody else interrupting my time. And I think that that was an important piece for me to be able to come back and say, this is what I need. And it also helped me start to realize that no is okay. And there is certain things that I do need to say, I just can't do that. Or not every time somebody comes to you with a problem, it means that it's time for you to be in action mode and try to solve that problem for them. Sometimes it's just that it's their problem. They need to deal with it. They need to handle it. If it ain't got anything to do with you, then it kind of just is what it is. And I had to learn that not everything causes for Davina to be in action mode.
Amen. I can definitely relate.
Yeah, I think exactly because I think it's our caregiver in us that feels like we got to do. If we don't do it, it won't get done. The world will just fall apart. And I think that this year I am taking a step back from that. I am a person that my word is my bond. If I say I'm going to do something, then I definitely want to do that. And I've been finding myself taking on so much that I'm having to back out of things. And so that alone is discipline for me because I don't like how that feels. I don't like being dependent upon when I've said I'm gonna do something and then I don't do it. So for me, I'm like Miss Devin up there, I got all type of books that I'm gonna implement this year. These ones, right? I have one that I start my day with. This is the one I start my day with. This is what I want to do today. And it has like inspirational quotes and stuff in it. So this is what gets me intentional about the things that will happen today. This book I've had for 2 years, y'all. I haven't wrote one thing in it. This year, it is a self-care journal. But when I look at it, it looks sad because it's like, I don't get no self-care. This is bad. Like, this is really bad. So I think that by writing things down, it will help me to see it, like to help me actually visualize what's happening or what's not happening. And this one is my planner. And I love this planner because it breaks things down like what goals do I want to accomplish this month? And then it has the weeks, you know? So this has actually been helping me a lot more than my phone. I'm 40, so this whole phone thing is not effective because like an alarm go off, I'll mute it, and then that notification is gone. It's bye-bye. I don't know where it is. And whatever was on that notification, I don't know. So I forget to do stuff. So for me, this year is like Ebony said, like I love how she gets up and she prepares at the beginning of the day. That's discipline. And that's what I'm seeking too. Like I wake up in the morning and I like to read a scripture and then I get up and I get my day started. I don't take time to make my husband smoothies. I probably should, especially since he's meal prepping, but I don't make smoothies.
I know, right? Everybody's like, am I not a good woman? Like,
Okay.
we all
I'm
question
over here taking notes
ourselves,
like what Ebony said.
We all have
I don't get
different. We all have different walks
she
of
set the
life.
bar up here.
We all got different walks of life,
It's
but
recorded now. We can't go back from that.
You know, and he probably watching this too. Like, yeah, she should make me smoothies. Like, it's crazy.
but y'all
Like,
know, my husband had
it'd be all
my
right.
husband. Yeah, my husband had some reason. I mean, he had some medical things happen. You know, when he had the strokes and stuff. So it's like, and even still, like, you know, yeah, get in there and make some smoothies. That's all I'm gonna say. The
I'm
the
working on
the
it. I'm
return
working on it.
the return is amazing. Let me tell you.
Oh, I could tell with other things. Like, it's just a little bit of effort. Like, we're both very busy, you know. So,
Yeah.
like,
Yep.
and I could just go the extra mile in any sense because he is a drug counselor and he has a nonprofit organization and he's a volunteer like on a regular basis. And so am I. Like, I volunteer at my church on Tuesday, Thursdays, Saturdays, and Sundays. And I work a full-time job. And I have 2 grandchildren, 3 children, and a family. Doing this business, doing my podcast. So it's like all of these things. So when I do get a moment to reciprocate and show him, oh, the return is amazing. It's like we're just in heaven. And so we kind of came, it's probably not good, but I'm putting me out there because, you know, I want help. So we do therapy. So we have to squeeze that in too. We do marriage counseling. And
Beautiful.
I'm about to start having my own. Yeah, I'm about to start doing that too. So on a weekly basis, this is what I do. So if we could just chill on a Sunday after church to like decompress and prepare for the next week, that's like heaven. And so what we've been finding ourselves doing is like once a month we'll go and we'll probably have a little getaway or something. And that's our time. You know, every now and again we'll get away and go to a movie or like have a date night. We're trying to create regularity in that. We want to do it like once a week, but that's not realistic because how busy his schedule is and how busy mine is. Once again, if we put it down and then don't do it, then I feel bad. Like, oh, I forgot I had to do this. So I'd rather not plan than plan and not do something. So this year I'm learning. That's why I got all these books and I still use my phone. And y'all, I wish I could show y'all in this little space. I got an old school calendar too, the one y'all used to get from the currency exchange. I got one of those hung up too. And I still cannot get it together. So be praying for me. I am going to do it this year. I'm going to have a schedule where I'm going to get up like an hour hour before, and I'm going to use that time to like meditate, pray, read my Bible, work out. So all that stuff is going to be in an hour. So maybe like 15 minutes for each thing. We're going to see, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it.
Good. Make sure y'all put sea moss in y'all
All right, I
smoothie.
guess.
Oh, now you like sea moss, huh?
Oh no, he
Usually
has
it
sea
was
moss
for
in his.
listening.
I take the Alkaline Academy capsules.
Okay.
But my sister-in-law's sea moss is amazing. But yeah, I've been taking it for about 2 weeks now in capsule form.
You're gonna have to send us your recipes.
I will.
So
I got tons of them.
another thing that I noticed works for me, and I don't know how effective this will be for anybody else, but waking up, and the first thing I do, obviously, I pray to God, thank Him for waking me up, ask Him to guide my steps. And then I always make it a point to listen to something motivational, whatever it is. I'm like motivational speeches, morning affirmations. I don't know. I feel like it sets the tone for my day, like literally. I even recently started listening to binaural beats. So it'll just be like just melody, just these beats flowing in the background, and it's just positive. Like I'm just vibing with it, because man, the mind is literally, and I notice honestly when I don't do that, my whole morning is just, it's out of whack. It's worse than not having my coffee. I'm like, okay, what did I not do today? And that really, really helps to set the tone, you know what I mean? So that we can have those times where we can identify, okay, well, this is what I got to set aside and this is what I got to do. Because if not, I'm in shambles. So that morning regimen, I think, is really important, just in general, like for anybody. What you do in the morning is going to set the tone for the rest of your day.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I do too.
I'm a person that in the morning, I don't like to so much be bothered. I like to listen to things, but I don't like to have to talk and or someone coming in needing me to do something first thing smoking in the morning. So I like to get up, I like to get myself ready and kind of have my coffee and get myself together first. And then I'll go around and I'll start waking everybody else up in the house so that they can also get ready, and then it's time to go. And once it's time to go, then I think I'm in a really good mode and mood, and I'm able to then set the pace for the day.
Right. Yep, that tone, that morning tone. I remember earlier this week, I told my son, I'm like, I don't know what he did, but he irritated me. And I was like, you know me arguing with you in the morning? You set the tone for my whole day. Get out of my face. He looking at me like, what's wrong with you? I'm like, listen, I don't do this. I don't do this in the mornings. My mornings are peaceful. They have to be peaceful. Because if not, it's a rough day.
I agree. I could get a headache and some more stuff early in the morning,
No, that's
doing something I don't typically
for me
do.
too.
So,
Yes.
And it's just over. Downhill from there.
I think it's important to kind of like center in on yourself in the morning. 'Cause it's a blessing already to wake up, but sometimes we wake up, we didn't get enough sleep. And it's like, I'm not ready to wake up, none of that. So for me, it's good to read a word and we have a reminder like, hey, and I got that attitude like, Davina, don't talk to me when I wake up. Like, I don't want to talk. Like, it's early. This is doing too much. But I have to check myself because I understand, like, I want to live a grateful life. And I'm grateful that I even opened my eyes because somebody didn't, So when I first wake up, literally, like, refreshing my eye, when I open my Bible app, and I'll read something and I'll post that. That's like the very first thing that I do for my day. And then I'll say a little prayer before I even get out to bed, just thanking God for opening my eyes today. And then once I get my engine revving, brush my teeth, wash my face, then I'll, go ahead and write in my journal, like, this is the attitude I'm going to have today. This is what I want to do today. This is how I want to make an impact today. And, that really helps me because sometimes I just don't get enough sleep, or at least I feel like I don't get enough sleep because if y'all are anything like me, this brain, it does not shut down. I've been ready for bed 4 hours ago, but my brain, did you do this? Did you do that? It does not help. Like, it does not help, like, at all. So, it's like sometimes I wake up still tired from the night before because I can't get to sleep because my mind is just so busy.
You know what another important thing is too is when you consider imbalance, you also want to make sure that the people around you are understanding exactly what that is too, in their own lives, like your children, your spouses. Again, and I have staff, so the people that you have your staff or people you work for or people you work with too. Like you need to make sure, like I said, that you communicate, but more so like your home life, that stuff is important because your kids, you need to be able to communicate with your kids and be in their lives, get in their business, like know what's going on with them. Like I don't have the traditional circumstance that everybody else has, as far as like teenagers and stuff like that. But I will be all over her stuff, all over her life, just cause she's my daughter and I want to know what's important to her and how she feels about things and where she's coming from, with things. And my husband, I like to have conversations with him to make sure he's happy. I'm like, are you good? It's not about insecurity. When I'm asking the questions of are you good, when I'm talking to my husband, it ain't got nothing to do with being insecure because I'm extremely secure in my marriage and I'm extremely secure in my skin. But when I'm asking him if he's okay, it's because not only are we the ones who need balance, right? They need balance as well. So I need to know where he's at, where he's feeling unbalanced, where he's feeling, whatever he may be feeling, so that I can accommodate. Because again, that's my job, right? I'm supposed to be able to accommodate as a mom and as a wife. And I think sometimes people get overwhelmed because they put way too much thought into what they think somebody needs and what they think somebody should be feeling, as opposed to just a simple question. Your kid come through the door. Hey, what's going on with you today? Catch them off guard. Like, what's up with you today? How's your week? How's your week been? How's your week? How was your weekend? You might see that child run across the room, all at in and out the house all day. But to catch them off guard and ask them how they doing, they're gonna be like, huh? But if you do it enough and you do it often enough, it may open up the lines of communication to where they feel comfortable enough. And then at that point, you understand and where they need balance and where, you just need to be able to communicate and understand the people around you. And that to me is key to having balance. You can't be balanced by yourself if you're trying to just focus on balancing yourself. And yes, I'm all about self-love and self-balance and whatever. But if you got all these other variables in your life, you also need to make sure that their checks and balances are matching up as well. You need to be conscious and you need to be aware of how they're feeling and what they're going through as well. And that's just that. I mean, it's not just about our own self balance. And I think sometimes people get lost in that mix and thinking, okay, well, I think she need this or I think he need that. And that's where a lot of problems come in. And that's where a lot of mental stuff comes in and you get overwhelmed and overloaded in your brain because you're so worried about what you think. Even the people we trying to please. I ain't trying to please nobody. Y'all know I'm past that. But you know what I mean? The people pleasing stage, even down to that, like, yes, they'll come to us and they'll be like, they need this, they need that. But our mind's going to overload thinking that we know, like, exactly what their issues are, how we can help them. And we ain't even got the answers to help them, to be honest with you. We just don't, because we don't really, we just need to make sure that everybody else's balances, we check in our own, but we need to make sure those important factors, work life, home life, marriage life, relationship life, whatever, children life, all that, we need to make sure that we are checking those things at the door and making sure that they're okay and asking the right questions and getting involved the correct way and, learning about the people you're around. That's going to add to your balance.
Yeah, I can add to that by saying, oh, sorry. Well, I'll be quick. I just want to say people in your life can add energy, right? So a lot of us work off of other people's energy. So if your home life energy is off, your whole day can be off. Your focus on work, your focus on your kids, and your, everything can be off just based on you not seeing eye to eye with your partner, or whether it be, even someone at your job. If you have bad energy that you can't come to amends with or just be away with, it lays heavy on you. And I will say that's happened to me for years before I actually realized what it really was. And that can cause people to be depressed just based on not knowing how to answer, someone else's problem. Like you said, that's their problem, and you got their energy weighing on your shoulders, and it's not even your weight to have. So just learning how to find that balance of saying, like they were saying, that's their problem. I'll give you the tools on how you can be able to help yourself, but I got to take care of me at this point. And, learning to say that and not feel bad about it, because if you give yourself more to someone than they give to you, what you got left for you?
Right.
Big facts. Yeah.
Right. And that's basically what I was about to say too, Devin, because like I love that, like about checking in and things like that. But sometimes people, like me, I'm a newlywed. So communication is something that we're still learning, how to communicate. What does this mean when he does this? And he's probably still learning. And so me, there's a lot of different factors that play a role in the makeup of a person. I'm an oldest child. I have 3 children where my husband has a different dynamic. So me, I'm naturally that person that's going to say, hey, how are you? What's up? I'm going to tell you how I feel, because I don't have time for you to be trying to figure me out. I don't have time to be trying to figure you out. But hey, especially with teenagers too, okay? You can ask them to your pink in the face, how are you? Are you okay? What's going on? And you can clearly notice that there's something. But if a person is not communicating and is not sharing that with you, what you cannot do is deplete yourself trying to figure it out. You know what I mean? Like, this is where it's like, for me, I have to care about self first, because it will run me into a place of insecurity and doubt and anxiety, right? Because I have a past where these are things are like, well, my man used to act up, this what used to be going on. Or when my man used to act like this is why he used to act like that, right? So because I can't allow myself to get caught up in that thinking pattern, I have to put it up to the big guy and be like, God, hey, I need you to handle this. I need you to bridge this gap. I need you to make this make sense. I need you, because I get that. And that's a beautiful thing. If you and your partner can effectively communicate, or if you and your child can effectively communicate, and it's just that easy, you ask them how they're doing and they come out and say, or if they got an issue, they'll come out and tell you, hey, it'd be nice if you can help me do this. But what about when they can't? You know what I mean? Like, at what point do you draw the line and be like, okay, listen, I'm here if you need me, but I got to take care of me, because the way my mind's set up, I'm still healing from stuff, and I cannot get consumed with this may or may not be. You don't want to tell me? What do I do? You know what I mean? Like you were saying, ask the right questions. Like, I'm an extrovert. I'm very direct. I'm going to ask you exactly what I want to know, and I'm going to tell you what I want you to know. But when someone, is not used to a person being direct, I could come off as aggressive. I could come off as hostile. I could come off as, you know what I mean? Like, she would ask me.
Like I said, it's all about just the different types of dynamics. Everybody's dynamic is different.
Kind of the balance in that.
Yeah,
I will say,
everybody's dynamic is different,
to piggyback, because I'm on board with all of y'all. So for me though, and I say this to all the mothers that are watching, I was that person also that was depleting herself all the time. And I promise you, 2 years ago, so I don't know if you guys know my backstory, but I have MS. And I'm thankful to God that it's not as bad as what it could be, right? So I felt myself getting sick. I mean, I was like confined to the bed. My face was going numb. There were things that were happening that I was like, what is going on? I never paid that much attention to it because I didn't really have the symptoms like other people do. So I just kind of laid it to rest. I'm like, whatever, it is what it is. So once I started doing the research, I realized that stress is the number one trigger for MS. So that's when I had to, like you said, and for me, it was picking my battles. Listen, like you said, I got to put self first. And that's something that as mothers, it's really, really hard for us to do. Really, really hard. You know, I got a 24-year-old, a 19-year-old, a 15-year-old, a 7-year-old, and a 3-year-old that's autistic. So even with my baby, and he's autistic, I'm like, Zane, I'm sorry. I don't know what you want. You have to sit your butt down. You can scream, you can holler, you can do whatever you need to do, but I need to focus on my stress level right now. Because if I don't, then I'm not going to be whole, and then I can't even be a parent to you. So it was big for me to pick my battles. Like literally, my oldest daughter will tell me right now to this day, when I was 7 years old, I didn't get away with that. You are absolutely right. You are absolutely right. And I'm going to tell you why. Because today, I choose and pick on whatever it is I want to let get to me. I don't, I tell you, I let so much things just everything. I just let it go now. It's like, you know what? You got it. You overslept at school. Who's gonna excuse you? Oh, okay. Well, make sure you go in there and clean the kitchen, do what you gotta do. Oh, give me the iPad. Yeah. Oh, you mad? Oh, I'm sorry. Phone too. I'm not arguing. I'm not hollering at you. I'm not doing any of that because at the end of the day, like you said, you got to put self first. And doing all that, it's not hurting anybody but yourself. You're literally not hurting anybody but yourself because these kids is going to do what they want to do regardless.
You know what's
Regardless.
crazy is we all have this, and this is everybody in the world. So anybody that's listening, like even everybody has a very different definition, defining moment of what their balance is, based off of their lives and their lifestyles, what they will bring in and allow in, and what they won't. And it's very interesting hearing all of the different views, and again, everybody's walks of life is different, so it's very interesting. Whereas like you guys have teenagers and children and normal capacity. My daughter got CP, mild to moderate brain damage. My life is a
Right.
little bit different, and so therefore I don't have that, honestly, where I gotta be like, hey, what's wrong with you, and be like, I don't have that with her. And everybody's, like I said, it's just different. It's very interesting to hear. And Janet, how you got your oldest is like so far from your youngest age wise, and Devin, you got the Veronica, you got grandchildren, and that same like everybody's dynamic is just so different, and it's so, and so do you, Davina. You got some grandbabies too, right?
I have
So
three.
like you got an even bigger extension than just like being a mother, grandmother, balance and all that is in there too. Like how do you guys everybody has such a different walk of life. So it's really cool to hear your different views and stuff on how you actually manage your and balance your work life, home life, and all that stuff. So
It is very important.
Megan,
Yeah,
what do you do, girl?
very. I'm listening to Abby. I'm like, man, that sounds so nice. Oh,
Right? We waiting on you, girl.
I actually just you guys were talking about podcasts and whatnot, listening to. I've been listening to a lot of those on my way home from work. It's kind of like decompressing. I do have about a half-hour drive home, so a lot of times I can fit in a little 15-minute podcast on the way home. It's kind of nice. I am trying to, I too say, like Veronica, I'm going to journal, and that just doesn't happen. So I've been trying in the last week or two to try and do that. But I've literally probably done it like 3 times in the last week. So I'm like trying to get a little bit better about doing a little bit of that. Again, it's like the same thing that you guys have said, kind of get up. I drive my one daughter to work, then I come home, get ready for work myself, drop my son off at school, then go to work. One of my biggest struggles is like the meal planning thing. I think that's a lot of women, kind of struggle with that. I'm pretty guilty of like, hey, we're gonna have fast food tonight, or we're gonna go out to eat tonight, especially lately when It costs me just as much to go to the grocery store as it does to take my kids out to eat. No, I don't have to do dishes if I take them out to eat. So there's that. Um, but yeah, it's just kind of a lot of the same that you guys have said. I think when I'm not doing that stuff, I realize that, oh, I really need this, and trying to do some devotionals, and it's kind of like when you wake up and you wake up late for the day because the alarm didn't go off. It throws everything off. If you stop doing your routine, then you're just all thrown off.
Yeah, it could be as small as feeding your soul. I mean, I take 5 minutes in the garage every day. I pull up. I tell my son, get the bags. Give me a minute. Before I come into the tundra, give me a second, please. And it's just that woosah. We need that. We need that as mothers. We need that as girlfriends, wives, sisters, friends. We need that because women do bear a lot. We bear more than children. We bear a lot on our shoulders, literally. We're always the go-to, always. And it's just always, she can handle it. She got it. She's strong. Yeah. Can I get a break? So just making it a point to actually get that break, like literally making it a point to put yourself first. It's really hard, but it is so, so important. So important.
Yeah, I agree. I'm tired of being strong
Get a break.
sometimes.
Okay.
Yes.
I just want one
When you
weekend
get the break,
that I don't
Literally.
have to do nothing. I'm about to plan that a weekend to myself where I have never did that, and I'm thinking that I want to start that for myself of just even if it's a small trip or even just a hotel, something where I'm not doing homework, I'm not doing work, I'm not having a kid text me for some money, I'm not having a baby hanging on me. Look, I got to open the door for my teenager.
See, it's nonstop. Yeah, but we do need that. We need that because if not, I mean, man, as we know, if we're not whole, who's gonna take care of the family dynamic? Like, you know, and that's what a lot of people just don't realize. And then you get to a point where you're at your breaking point. You're having a mental breakdown, and you gotta take anxiety meds, or these underlying illnesses are flaring up, and it's like all for what? When really you just have to really put yourself first. And that's not being selfish at all. That's actually being selfless. Because with me being able to put myself first and making sure that I'm okay, that's giving y'all a lifeline. I'm helping everybody else out that, would normally turn to me for help. But I can't do it if I'm not able, And stress is a real thing and it kills. Literally. And I'm just, man, I'm with you, Veronica, girl. I'm about to be 40 and fine, girl. But I'm not trying to let the stress get to me. For real.
I will say that was one thing for the longest that I had to realize is it's not bad to be selfish in certain situations.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll say I'm a Gemini, so I'm a little selfish sometimes, but I just didn't know what the balance was. I was being selfish in times when I didn't need to be. And then, by me feeling like, okay, I was too selfish. Now I can't be selfish at all. Then I lost track of myself. And it was like, okay, now I'm giving too much of me and I don't even have anything for myself. And then I woke up one day at 35 saying, who is Devin? Like, who am I? Yeah, I'm a mother. Yeah, I'm an, employee to this company and whatever else. But who am I as a woman? Like, what are my likes? What are my talents? What are, my hobbies? I don't have any hobbies. I like makeup and hair and things like that, but that's not a hobby. That's not a hobby. So it was, me trying to find myself again to say, okay, who am I outside of everything else? Who am I? And trying to find that balance of now that I know who I am, okay, what is it that I need? So I can give more to y'all so I don't feel like I'm taking from myself. Because if I plenish myself and I have that cup that's overfilling, then it's like I have more than enough to give you now.
Yes, yes, yes. I love that. And that's true. That's like healing. And that's like self-care and all of that stuff combined into one. Because when you're stressed out, you're overworked, you're tired, you start to be short with people. You can't even be your happy, genuine self because you're just like at your wits end with everybody, you know? So it's like it's important. And when you all were talking about like just going away by yourself, I have tried that, and what bothers me is because I have 3 children, 2 grandchildren, and my job title, it's still not the type of break that I need because I still pay attention to this. You know what I mean? I'm scared to put my phone on D&D for real, and not look at it because what if my kid needs me? What if my job needs me? Because I'm on call for my job. Like if the house goes up, they calling me first. You know, so it's like boundaries though. It's no excuse. You know what I mean? And we can find an excuse for everything, but what it end up being is a boundary. Like I gotta trust God. Who am I? I can't stop nothing from happening that's gonna happen. So God, you do you, and I'm gonna take this time and rest and do me. So that's something that I'm really, really, really trying to focus on too this year. And I think maybe a little piece of that is also people pleasing. I want to be that dependable person. And that comes from my background. I wasn't always a very dependable person because I was really selfish. You know, when I was going through the stuff that I was going through, I was a selfish person because I felt like I'm already going through all of this. It's about me, you know. But that's a part of healing, you know. So we got to heal. So if you ever feel like you're bound up by obligations and you can't do for yourself because you have to do for somebody else, I think it's good to assess why. How do I feel this way? How do I feel like I have to do this? You know what? Why am I indebted to this person, this child, this man, this job? You know, you owe it to yourself to be your full whole self so that you can really let people enjoy you. Otherwise, we'll just be a wreck. Like Janet said, we'll be stressed out. It won't be a pleasant encounter. And so who are you really helping if you're short with people and if you're being rude to people and you don't want to be bothered with people because you're too stretched, you know? So I think it's a part of healing too, is basically what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I
And
think that
that
it's
faith.
important. Sorry. I think
No,
that
you're
it's
fine.
important also for everyone to know that not one method works for everyone. Um, in order to find your balance, you have to figure out what actually works for you. One person might feel like, you know, doing some extracurriculums with themselves and finding hobbies for themselves might work. I know that I came to a place in life where I just felt like going on vacations with girlfriends just felt like work. Like, oh my God, I don't want to go on a vacation. I just want to do nothing but sit here and Netflix and chill. Um, and
Yes.
play my game and be by
Mm-hmm.
myself. And I had a couple of people tell me, like, oh no, Davina, I think that you're depressed. No, I wasn't depressed. I was trying to find what was working for me. And what was
Mm-hmm.
working for me was sometimes being alone, being by myself, for me to be able
Yeah.
to actually self reflect, to figure out what is the piece that is overstretching me, overstressing me, and where is them fine lines, and what is it that I can take off of my plate versus what's important for me to leave on my plate. And like again, not one thing works for everyone because we are all so different that a lot of us feel like we can balance a lot, and maybe we can balance a lot. A lot of us trying to balance too much can be very stressful. Um, just making sure that you're not allowing yourself to go into autopilot and you're feeling like it's all for nothing. Once you start to get in that autopilot, then that's when the depression starts to kick in.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when you start to feel like, is this it? Is this all I'm worth? And this is all my life is about. I once worked at the shelter, and when I worked at the shelter, I used to love going to work every day. I lived for it. It was like I went to work at the shelter so that I could replenish. Things weren't right at home, so I felt like whenever I was at home, all of the life was sucked out of me and I was drained. But whenever I went to work, that's when I got replenished. And so I loved being at work and I stayed there all the time. And people used to always say, "Don't you want to go home?" And I'm like, "Look, you guys don't understand. You are the people that are actually giving me life." And when I said that and I heard my voice end up telling others of what it was, then in that moment I realized things weren't how they were supposed to be at home and things needed to be fixed. And it was time now to go ahead and get that together so that I could have that balance, so that I can come home and not feel like I'm getting life sucked out of me and I'm not going to work and that's just the only place that I can get it replenished. I needed to be able to figure out how can I get it replenished and give a little in both of those areas.
Amen.
That's good. Because, yeah, your home is supposed to be your sanctuary. You're supposed to be able to take your hair off, take your makeup off, take your waist trainer off, them heels off, take
That
everything
bra,
off,
girl.
and look as ugly as you want to be and be comfortable with it. Because I know I'll be over on the couch. Look, there's a couch right here, and I'll be looking toe up. You hear me?
Girl. And you better not judge. You better not.
And still get loved on, looking toe up, okay?
That's how I was looking at the shelter.
Okay.
The roles were reversed.
Oh, we did.
Rubbing your feet together and everything. What's that on Netflix?
Okay.
Right.
But
Sometimes
yeah,
you don't
in a
even want to
nutshell,
talk. You just
in a nutshell, I feel like just prioritizing, like we've all kind of touched on, is making sure that you put yourself first because you are first, essentially. We like to say our kids are first, but no, we have to be first. We have to be
'Cause they
first. And I
leave.
told myself that.
Them little boogers, they leave. They go
Yeah,
and they
they
get their
do.
own families and they stress
Okay.
you out and they move on.
I done
So
got 3, 4 phone calls since I've been on this podcast. Mom, what's the HBO password? Boy, you was in Seattle. What? What is, girl? I'm just thinking to myself, like, Janet, think of self. It's all right. You're going to get that tub. You're going to tune these kids out when you're done in this podcast. But that's what it is. It's just recollecting, whatever that might be. Like Damina said, it depends on, you as a person and what works for you. Whatever it is. If it's journaling, cool, it's journaling. If it's getting in touch with God, it's getting in touch with God. If it's going to the gym, me, Ebony, girl, I'm still mad. I'm trying to go in the morning, but I'm gonna stick with my nights.
and I'm
But
not
if
going
it's
at
going
night.
to the girl, but if it's going
Not
to the
doing
gym,
it.
it's going to the gym. Whatever works for you, but you have to find that balance. You have to find what is it that is going to work for me so that I can woosah, so I can exhale, so I can finally, okay, put me back in the game, coach. Because essentially that's what it is. Every day is we getting in that battlefield, but you have
Right.
to be whole. So, and that's day to day, day to day, whatever that might be. If it's in the morning, if it's at night, if it's in between days, whatever that looks like, do you and do it for you. Don't do it for anybody else.
Not
Do
Yeah.
for
it for
anybody.
you, period. Because when you do it for yourself, there's more gratitude. You see what I'm saying? You feel better about it. But when you're doing it for somebody else, not knowing, did he even appreciate that? Like I could
Yeah.
nail none.
Because he might not even appreciate it. Yeah.
It might not even this way. Okay. Do it
Right.
for yourself. Anything you do in life, do it for you. Period.
I'm a
Wholeheartedly.
very disciplined person. So anything I set my mind to, for the most part, if I put it out there, I'm gonna do it and I set my mind to, I'm extremely disciplined. And I've always been, I mean, there's times where obviously I fell short. Life happens, it is what it is. I've had times where I didn't, but when I want to do something, I'm going to do it. And I think that's part of putting myself first because
Mhm.
most oftentimes those disciplined moments have everything to do with me. Like,
Mhm.
I'm not going to cuss or I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that because I don't want to do it. I don't have nobody telling me what I should do, shouldn't do. I just don't want to do it. So,
Mhm.
and I'm like Veronica, I used to be selfish. at one point. You know, I didn't have my daughter until I was 26. I had a whole life prior to just F it up and do whatever the F I wanted to do, because that's what I was out here doing. Seriously. Doing whatever the heck I wanted to do, how I wanted to do it, how I wanted to live it, and didn't care about nobody's feelings, didn't care about who I hurt. And so the people pleasing came after I started reading the Bible, after I, you know, got involved in my marriage or whatever. And then after that, it just stayed. And then 2021 hit, and everything under the sun outside of my marriage, getting married in 2021, any and everything you can imagine crumbled in 2021. And it changed, it did something to me. It was changed my perception on life and how I move and how I think, and just different. So like I said, my balance is different from your balance and yours, but I like to hear how you balance yours and yours, because sometimes you don't even realize you can take something from another. Like, I've taken 3 things just from being out here from y'all. 3 different things. You know, you can just take, sometimes you take things from other people. No, our balances aren't going to be the same, but we can take things and apply certain things if we liked what we heard or like what we hear. You know,
I think that's a part about why we did this today is,
Yeah.
sparking the interest of people. Maybe they do need to hear some new pointers on how to find balance in their own life, and just
Yeah.
hearing things from the 6 of us could be, something that's starting something good for somebody starting tomorrow, So that's, I think that's the main goal of when, we initially started doing things with this women empowerment, is as long as we can affect one other person, I feel like I made my day for that day,
Yeah.
because you never know. It could be that one person whose life was on the line. It was something that they did not know how to control. And just by hearing us talking to each other is what changed their life. So, I mean, that's definitely a goal of mine. So, and I'm thankful to be working with y'all sisters, my
There's
sisters,
somebody in the group.
and somebody in the group.
Hey. There's somebody in the group here in the chat. They asked a question. It says, "What about us procrastinators? Where do we start?" Real quick, just do it. Like, I used to be
Really?
a master procrastinator. Just do it. When it comes to your mind, just get up and just do it. And you will feel so much better about yourself. You will realize it wasn't that bad. It didn't take as much time as you
Right.
thought it was. And now you can chill. That's the best advice I could give a procrastinator, because I used to be one.
Man, I wasn't ever allowed to be one. My mama used to get me out the bed at 7 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday. I'd be like, "It's Saturday." So what? You got stuff to do. You don't got time. I never was allowed to procrastinate. I
And
wish
so
I
that
could
could
have.
that could become a double-sided sword, because yes, if you were one that was never allowed to procrastinate and you still are
You
not
gonna
allowed to
procrastinate.
Your
procrastinate,
husband singing you songs at 6 a.m. on Saturday mornings happening.
Yeah.
Training you.
You got to meet him to understand him. If you know him, you know that's just, I ain't gonna ever escape that. But he's gonna always sing. He probably somewhere singing right now. So yeah, I just, procrastination. I'm with Veronica on that. Just do it. Just put one foot in front of the other and make the first step. You got to take the first step. That's what you got to do. And you know what? If you fall down, so what? Get back up. What is it? If first you don't succeed, dust yourself off. Try again.
Try again.
It's the truth.
Dust yourself off. Keep it going.
Yep.
Everybody make mistakes.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's true.
unless something that is adding too much onto your plate and it's not something that is positive for yourself.
Right. What are you procrastinating on?
Right.
That's a valid question. Yeah, absolutely. Sure.
And I think
Some
too,
people
somebody
you
put in the
that.
comment. I'm sorry, what's that, Davina?
I said somebody else can call you a procrastinator,
And-
but it might not really truly be just that.
That's true too.
That's true.
Right. That is true. Somebody put in the chat, somebody said, it's important to hold ourselves accountable and to set boundaries. It's absolutely okay to first put God first, then yourself, and not feel guilty to tell those that need you for every little thing no. I think that's really important too. And I think that if you have a base, right? If you have a foundation, and like we're all different, and this is for whoever understands where I'm coming from. But that's my thing. My foundation is in God. So first, I'm going to talk to God about it first. And then if it's God's will, then he'll show me and then it'll be done. So that's the thing too about procrastinating too, because sometimes like we just said, like sometimes like, is this God's will? Is this something that you should be doing? Or is this just something that you decided you wanted to pick up and do for yourself, knowing you already got other stuff that you're obligated to do? So maybe it's like, maybe now isn't the right time for you to do it. Maybe it's not procrastination. So that's another thing I'm very
Or a task somebody else wanted to do,
right.
and
Exactly.
you didn't put it on your list as a priority, and that person decided that they wanted to say that you were procrastinating because you didn't prioritize it.
Yeah,
That, yeah, I can
definitely.
agree with
do
that.
that. Like you don't get to call me a procrastinator. I don't want to do this. I'm not doing
Right? Just because I told you I wanted to do that don't mean I ain't doing it because I'm a procrastinator. I might have something more important
Right.
to do.
it. Right. I just don't know. Not right now. I'm prioritizing.
But
Not right
there
now.
are people that know that they are procrastinators and they know that they need to get their stuff together too.
Yes, that is true.
There's people out here that, they know what they got to do and just do it. Just do. And it's not about it being easier said than done, because quite honestly, it's like, I mean, you're saying that you're procrastinating on it, so you're obviously thinking about it. So why not at least try to do it to see if you can get it done? You're already thinking about the fact that you're procrastinating on it. So if you didn't care about it on some level, you wouldn't even be thinking about that.
Girl, listen. And that will drain you more than actually doing it. I had
Right.
a situation like that. I was like, man, should I do it? Should I not? Y'all know I wasted so much energy thinking about doing it versus not doing it that I was exhausted just from the thoughts when I could have just got up and done it. It like ruined my peace. It like disturbed me because it was like, do I do it? Do I not do it? I'm like, I could just been did it by now. So it's like that stress piece. Like, don't stress yourself out. You know you need to do it. Just do it.
Especially if it's something that you keep thinking about. It's something you got to
Yeah.
do something with it. Either get it off your mind, don't do it at all, or complete it so you can stop thinking about it.
Exactly. Like, exactly.
I am very OCD, so there is no procrastination over in my world. If I didn't do it, it wasn't because I was procrastinating. It was because I did not put it as a priority, and it was not important to me. Anybody that knows me knows that I am OCD, so my life is a checklist. And so if it is important, it's going to get done as soon as it comes on my list. I'm knocking it right off. That way, then it's one and done. I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to think about it. It's not going to start to overwhelm me and or stress me. So yeah, if you see something on my checklist and it just has not been reviewed, it's because I prioritized it and it wasn't important.
Yep. Yeah.
Well, in the chat, I have put our event information. We are Women Empowered Minnesota. We have a Facebook group. So if anybody who's watching or come across this live stream want to join our group, it is open. We would love to have you join us. We share lots of positivity, lots of information, lots of resources. I've also included a link to register for our event, which is a free event. We're just asking for a donation. It's in person, and you can also watch it via Zoom for anyone who is out of state. So we're in Minnesota. Somebody asked, did we share our church home? I go to ICCM Life Center, which is on 18th and Park in Minneapolis. I'm not sure where the other ladies go, but they are free to disclose that if they want.
I don't have one anymore, but I used to go to the Kingdom Hall.
I am a believer, but I do not go to any temple. I believe from home.
Amen.
I go to Eagle Brook Church, which you can also go online to them too.
Is that in Woodbury?
I go to the Woodbury campus, but they have several campuses. Yes.
Yeah, I'm familiar.
Yeah, I do not have a church home.
All right. I think that's all the comments I have. Any questions or comments or anything you would like to talk about, absolutely inbox us on the Women Empowered MN page, because we're going to be doing live streams for the next few weeks leading up to our events, and we'll even be doing them after. I believe Ebony has an event coming up too, that we'll be posting good information about that as well. So we're just trying to connect and build our sisterhood and empower women. So please feel free to join us. All are welcome.
And we're
Thank
nice.
you all for
So
joining
y'all
us
can
tonight.
join us.
We are. We're nice and polite. We get a little self-care.
Yeah, we're real women, so we can all relate with you. So don't feel like anybody's gonna judge you. It's no judgment zone.
No judgment.
Yep.
Thank you all for tuning in tonight. Have a good night.
You
Thank
too.
you.
Have a good
Good
night.
night.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.